Welcome to episode 457 of Salcedo Paranormal, and tonight I'm going to start a series of shows on ghost towns. For all the episodes of the show, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me, you can visit the podcast page, and that is salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from y'all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions, or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord, or if you listen on the podcast or YouTube feeds, or on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where you can hear 2 episodes of the show, replays every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. As always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, and Liam Martin, host of the Exile Minds podcast, for producing the show and putting it up on the station. If you'd like to support the show, there are a few different ways to do that. You can always share the show with others and rate and review the show as well on your podcast platform of choice. I've also written some paranormal fiction and nonfiction books you can check out on Amazon, with one hopefully coming within the next year or so. Hopefully sooner, we'll see. Also, you can join my Patreon, where I will be releasing 1 episode per month of true paranormal stories from the web. That will be exclusive to Patreon, and there you can get that on any of the membership tiers. Also, if you just want to make a one-time donation, there are links to PayPal and Venmo, and all those are in the podcast page and basically all my episode descriptions. So help is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in doing the show, such as equipment and research materials, and then travel expenses, as I will be going to the Mid-Michigan Paracon this year, November 4th and 5th, at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. And that's a weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I will be recording myself and then others, if they wish, while I'm there. Talk about the paranormal in general and or their experiences, and also just giving my thoughts on the ideas and on the event itself. So, and then I'll bring all those recordings back and share them on a show or two, depending on how much I have. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think that covers everything. So this is actually, this idea of the show came from a friend of the show, Michelle, online friend, even though I just call everyone friends if I know them online, and the ones I've become friends with. So we were talking in basically her own channel, a Twitch channel, and she mentioned ghost towns. So I'm just going to go over a couple of articles here that talk about them in general, and some of the ones that are known to be sort of have an eerie feeling. But I will, again, this is more of an introduction. This will be like a little series, not quite as big as what the mythology and the paranormal series or the complete books of Charles Fort series are going to be, but maybe a few episodes here and there. So tonight is just an overview, and then I will dig into individual places and see what I can find on them going forward and do shows on those. So the idea of the ghost town here is just a place where, at least in the U.S. here, where everyone eventually ended up leaving an area. And I think in a lot of cases it can be for sort of economic reasons, but I'm sure there's others. I'm not really an expert on that, on sort of the history of ghost towns. But I have 2 articles here I found, and I put them in the show notes and sources channel. I will include them in the episode description. And I'm just going to sort of skim through these and just look at the ones that seem interesting to me, maybe a few of them in each article. And they're really brief descriptions. That's why this is just going to be a sort of a starting point for this idea and for this series. So this first one is from countryliving.com, and the title is 18 of the Spookiest Ghost Towns in America. So this is talking about old mines, abandoned buildings, and even, and then of course, orbs. As always, that's a thing that we talk about in the show fairly often, that are seen in a lot of these places. So the first place they talk about here is, they have a little description here. So so first they talk about there's a lot of places out there that are said to be active in terms of the paranormal. A lot of hotels, but there are these places that are known as ghost towns all over the U.S. And in a way, if you didn't know, you might think that that actually means more something about the paranormal directly, but that's not exactly what it's referring to. It's more of using that word, I think, to describe the fact that there's no one there, but yet it feels like there's someone there. But these can be found in all kinds of states all across the country. It mentions here Pennsylvania, Wyoming, Montana, Alaska, New Mexico, New York, West Virginia, and others. And says not all of them are rumored to be actually haunted. So, but some do have stories of people having experiences there. So, and then it also mentions not all of them are totally abandoned either. Some have maybe just one or two active places that are still being used. So this first one they talk about is Calico, California, and this is there's apparently was a one-time mining hotspot for silver, I guess, but there's a lot that goes on there. It's basically a tourist attraction now. And it's a California historical landmark, and it mentions you can explore the Maggie Mine, the only formerly used mine in the area that's safe for guests to see. You can also take a ride on the Odessa Railroad to see basically all the sites in the area. So, and it mentions you can also, there's this thing in the way here. You can also go on tours, paranormal tours. So, and it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really go into the details of the paranormal activity there, but just the fact that it is there. So let's see here. Looking at this next one here, this number 2 is in Nevada. I'll try to do one from each different state here. I'm not sure if you say this, Rhyolite, Rhyolite, in Nevada. And I have to deactivate something here because it's getting in my way. One moment. And I will turn this off. It's sort of a thing that's supposed to be used, but it's not working right. So, but let me see here. It's not going. All right. Anyway, I'll get through it. Technical difficulties, but it's okay. So, this is on the eastern edge of Death Valley, and it's a lot of these towns are associated with mining. That's how sort of they got their start. It says at its peak in 1907, this town had a hospital, an opera house, and even a stock exchange. And let's see here. One of the unfortunately, it says it didn't take too long for the people there to scatter. There was a financial crisis, so there were financial crises and then natural disasters, and the loss of funding caused nearly everyone to leave this area. Let's see here, by 1920. So, but the thing you hear about so often in a lot of these places, these ghost towns, is even without even seeing or hearing anything, there's a sense of a presence. And sometimes it's just of single presence watching, or in some cases you'll hear about the sense of basically there being all kinds of people around you, but you can't see or hear them. So so yeah, that's an amazing idea to me, because I've actually had that experience before, as I've said, in a location. It was the house. My dad and former stepmom, their house. I volunteered to stay for like about a week while they went out somewhere else, trip. And every evening, once it started to get dark, I felt like people just started sort of making their way into the house, into the like mainly the living room, dining room area. It was like everyone just started coming home or something, and the place just seemed like it got filled up with people, but I couldn't see or hear them, but I could just feel them. And it is an odd experience, and the only way I could really kind of get through it without being totally creeped out by it was to always have music or the TV, something playing, some kind of audio playing, where I would be distracted by whatever I was listening to. And it wasn't that it was negative; it was just so strong. That sense was so strong. And I've heard stories from people on different shows about sort of getting a similar sense from these towns. So let me see here. Going back to the article. Once I find it, there we go. So this next one is Goldfield, Arizona, if I can talk. This is it was basically the name of the location, of course, is because miners in the area were hoping to find gold there in the late 1800s, but by 1898, the article says, dried up. It was inhabited and renamed Youngsburg in 1921, but was abandoned again in 1926. Excuse me. In 1988, the city became a tourist attraction with a handful of activities going on there, including a zip line, a reptile exhibit, and horseback rides. There's a museum, a saloon, and other different stores there. So this is one of those places where it is a ghost town. There are some things in there that are not used, but there's other places, I guess, in there that are used now. So, and again, a lot of these don't talk about the paranormal activity here. Now, this next one I have heard of in different paranormal shows as having activity, and this is St. Elmo, Colorado. And this is formerly named Forest City, but this was once a bustling mining center with a population of 2,000 at its peak. But again, by 1930, only 7 people reportedly lived there, and including the family that ran the general store and the hotel. So, let me see here. Apparently, there's the person that owned the hotel, they're saying here, they don't give much information. The hotel has paranormal activity there that is said to be from its former owner. So, let me see here. Looking at this more. Now this area is owned, basically it's private property, but visitors can still drive by the area, which is said to have some of the most paranormal activity in the state, and that I have heard that in other shows as well. So that doesn't surprise me. So let's see here. The neat thing about this article is it's so far it's been going to all different states. It hasn't repeated a state yet. So so yeah, let me see here. I'll do one more in this article, and then I'll switch over to the other one. And so this next one here is Terlingua. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. In Texas. And this one is most of the residents here fled the area after the market for mercury crashed. That's mercury is one of those things that's useful but very dangerous. Uh, but it's still have people, it has people there, but that have businesses there, but it's just not as populated as it used to be. So but you can also visit the old ruins. The halls of the old jail, basically. So there are other ruins there, but there's also an old jail that's still standing. So but yeah. So and then that's another kind of area. Prisons, jails are said to be fairly active locations for paranormal events. So I think that's where I'll stop with that article, and we'll switch over to this other one here. And again, I'll go through some of these and see how much there is to each of these stories, and so you may hear some familiar names next time when I do one of these again. So, which may be, I may do this. I'm trying to do a couple episodes once a day every week, usually after the paranormal news show. So, and that might be this little series here for a little while. This is from a website called timeout.com. And this one says, let's see here, gotta scroll down. 16 eerie ghost towns in the USA that you can actually visit. So, let's see here. I'm going to skip through the intro because we've kind of already gone over what a ghost town is. Now, this one has some different ones, and it has one that I've talked about before through news stories. This is, of course, Centralia, Pennsylvania. Now, I'm not sure about this article because it says you can visit, but last I heard, that may be up for debate. Because you have to be careful there, because that is the location where there's an underground mine that caught on fire, where the fire is still going because of it's coal. And so this is a more modern ghost town. So in 1962, a fire accidentally started and spread to the old mine and created sinkholes that sent up smoke and toxic fumes across the community. So in 1983, most of the people there were evacuated. And in 1992, a lot of the property there was claimed under eminent domain and condemned by the state. So, I've looked at this before, and as far as how many people are living there, it seems like there's only a few. It's ranged from 10 to only a few, depending on the article that you find. So, not very many, though, is the point. And that's just because the ground is, again, unstable, falling apart in some places. And you have these chemicals these gases that are coming up that are deadly. So, but it's also, again, in its own way, it is a ghost town where there are places there that are not being used anymore because people had to leave. But it still can give off, I'm sure, that eerie feeling. And I wonder if that kind of a place, I think I mentioned this when I found an article on this place before. I wonder if places like this, where there's all kinds of energy being given off by the area itself, by the planet, or by the fire, basically, that could possibly help sort of attract and or give energy to paranormal entities that could be drawn to the location, and sort of use it as a home and or just a place to stop at, almost like a gas station, but for the paranormal in a way, which sounds odd. But and just in that entities whoever they are could stop by there and possibly just convert some of that heat into whatever energy it is that they need to keep on going as they are. So, just a thought. I don't know for sure, but I think it's an interesting idea, if nothing else. So this next one here is Custer, Idaho, and it's in Idaho. This is a gold mining town located deep inside Idaho's Chelis, I'm not sure, National Forest. So the people are there for a while, leading up to its most populated time being in 1896. It's home to a massive stamp mill, which I'm guessing that means the actual act of pressing things. Don't know for sure on that one. But let me see here. So this location had 8 saloons and a tiny, let me see here, tiny group of locations or businesses as well that had a laundry services, a shoe store, so all these different kinds of things. And there was also apparently there were some people that came over from China that lived there at the time, had their own sort of businesses and homes there as well as part of the city. But just after 15 years of being successful, the mills shut down and the residents had no choice but to leave. And by 1911, there were only 2 families left. Most of the town still stands. And in 1981, it was added to the National Register of Historic Places. The buildings are open seasonally for visitors, and the original school is now a museum. Now, the thing about museums, too, is some of them have a lot of activity, paranormal activity of their own because of the objects, I think, in a lot of cases, that they have in them, that may have, for whatever reason, absorbed the energy from people and events that happened around them. I do think that is a possibility. And so there are, I may need to do a show on that later, too. The idea of haunted museums, because I'm sure that won't be hard to look into that. We'll do one more here, and then we'll stop for this one. Next one is Bodie, California. This is a Gold Rush era town near Yosemite, and it has been untouched for almost 100 years. It already showed signs of decline with people basically starting to leave. In the 20th century, there was a series of fires also that happened there around that time that forced everyone in the area just about to leave that town. So that's part of why it's still it looks as it did at that point. There are even, and I've heard of this in different places, dinner tables are still set, as in like plates and everything, like people are going to eat. Shops are still stocked with supplies, and the schoolhouse still has lessons on the chalkboard. So of course there's legends there that about basically bad luck to anyone that tries to steal anything from that area as well, which is probably never a good thing to do anyway. But we are out of time. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care.